just feel like I wanted to put this out there somewhere. So, I do love anthropomorphic animals, but I no longer really see myself necessarily as a furry per se, but I can understand sort of loving like cartoon animals and that kind of thing. It's just that for me, I don't really love cartoon animals. I specifically love have you ever read the book Wind in the Willows, which is like one of the greatest children's books of all time? It's like the British children's book, The Wind in the Willows, from like the 1940s or something. I think it's by Kenneth Grahame. That story has anthropomorphic animals who actually look and feel sort of like animals, but they're like people, and they have their own life and their own world, and they go on adventures together. And even when things get tough, they're there for each other at the end of the day. And that is one of the kinds of anthropomorphic animals that I really, really love, is like in that story. And then the other kinds I really like is gods, the gods. Whether it be Jinn, um, whether it be the Egyptian gods, whether it be seen as like angels or demons or um whatever kind of spirits. I see gods and spirits as really, really the same. Um, I like when they're like realistically hybrids of like animal and human. Like I think that's really cool. And then I used to think, because like I did have a fursona a while ago that was a honeybee man. I had a honeybee man fursona for a time that I used to draw, who I named the Urakobi, which is sort of a pun name, but it was a bee fursona named Urakobi, which is Japanese for joy, or like a sort of joy. And it's kind of funny. But now I'm like thinking, like, if I was gonna make a mask and like be like an animal now, I would want to do like a paper mache of a realistic lion head, and I would want to go as Vine. Vine the Solomonic demon. Because I feel like I've probably seen a few lion furries out there, but I've never seen someone do like Vine as like their like dress up as Vine as like their persona. And I feel like I could do it, but it wouldn't be like the look of the like cartoony lion furry thing, which I definitely respect, but it wouldn't be my style anyway to do it that way. I'd want to do more of like a combination of like realistic and artistic, just sort of like a lion head like over with like paper mache is probably what I would do. And I'm thinking about it because I feel like Vine would be a really good character to embody as well. And I really like Vine. I'm one of the occultists who works with Vine. Because like I said, I love the gods, I love the spirits, I love demons, and a lot of I don't know if people know. I mean, I assume people know this, but a lot of demons are really just like forsaken spirits and other things and ancient gods, and a lot of them look like animal human hybrids. Like just spirits generally, a lot of spirits look like animal human hybrids. That's something I've also noticed, just like being a witch who works with spirits, is I feel like a lot of spirits, they blend elements of like humanoid, like human with animal. A lot of spirits do, because they're like anthropomorphized concepts of your brain and nature and the stars and planets and other things. And so I think that I do love anthropomorphic animals. I don't know if I quite fit into furry though. I definitely, well, I don't know. I'm gonna get potentially viciously mocked if I say this, but I don't really care, because like I don't really care. I don't want to limit responses on all of my videos, but I definitely can get behind Otherkin as well, which gets a lot of hate for no reason because people don't actually understand it, and they just take the most extreme, awful examples of something and then judge an entire group based off of that, which is ridiculously absurd. But really all Otherkin actually is it's people who believe that they are more than human, who feel within themselves that they are spiritually, or for some people it is purely like psychological or mental. Some people it's purely psychological or mental. Some people it's spiritual. In our case, it's both, who see themselves in their minds as beyond human or other than human. So that can be Therian, which are people who believe that they have like animal spirits or an animal's mentality. That can also be Demonkin, which are people who feel akin to demons, which would definitely fit us. There's also Angelkin, which are people who feel akin to angels, which would also fit us. But as like a DID system, I do have like dissociative identity disorder, plurality of consciousness, but also as an autistic person and queer person, I do recognize within myself and within my alters that in our minds, in our headspace, our consciousness is free to express itself as many different animals, as many different magical people, as many different spirits, as many different types of beings. And whereas it may be somewhat different from furry, I feel that it's still sort of in alignment with that, but in a sort of different way. Whereas instead of it being like, oh, these are just like characters or role playing as characters, I see it more as, no, these are people who are me, who are different parts of my brain that reveal themselves to me in different ways, who may express themselves through demons or angels or animals or whatever it may be, but they're parts of me and they're very real for me, and they are not just like characters that would be like a game or something. It's not a game, it's not role playing, it's not something I'm putting on or wearing. These are very real people for me that I interact with every day, that is definitely spiritual for me as well as psychological. I know some people, they are able to separate that because there's a common misconception that like Otherkin people are like all spiritual, but that's not actually true, because I've seen demonkin people who are atheists. I have seen people who feel akin to demons, who present themselves as a demon, but who are strictly atheist, so they don't actually believe in demons. Whereas for me, I do believe in demons, and I do feel akin to demons with my plurality of consciousness and other things. I just see it as in the ancient pre-Abrahamic view of demons, like ancient Canaanite mythology, ancient Mesopotamian mythology, like older views of these things where they were the same as the gods and spirits, where demon comes from daemon, the Greek daemon, which just meant like guides or muses. It was general spirits. It wasn't a bad thing. And then devil actually comes from the Hindu devis, which again were just these like spirits, general spirits. And then Satan is Hebrew, Greek, and what is the other thing that there's a few other things that went into that, but Satan meant accuser. And what are the accusers of? Well, they're the accusers of ignorance and foolishness. And they've always actually been the accusers of ignorance and foolishness. And so, yes, I do see myself as demonkin as well as angelkin, and possibly Therian, although not me. It would be my other headmates who would be that, because Max is speaking right now, and I don't view myself that way in my headspace, but some of my other alters do. And I just think that people, if they were a bit more open-minded to the possibilities of their consciousness, that if they were someone like us who's exploring and unpacking and analyzing and questioning our consciousness literally every day. I dream journal every day. I ask philosophical questions about the universe and existence and life every day. I create and make art every day. I'm thinking very, very deeply. And I think that if people were able to think about these things in a different way, then they wouldn't be as hostile towards either furries or other kin people or any of these other things if they were willing to learn about it with an open mind and an open heart. And I think it's very, very easy for people to kind of fall into this like herd mentality of judging things in order to put themselves above it to appeal to the capitalistic competitions in place. Because a lot of having your survival needs met in a capitalistic system has to do with competing against the perceived other. But really, otherkin people are embracing the other within themselves. They're embracing a part of their shadow from the Jungian psychology view. And they may be expressing themselves as animals or as demons or as angels because they understand that human consciousness is not defined by our bodies, is not defined by any one thing, that inside our brains, we are all a potentially infinite, expanding conglomerate of many, many different things. And the way that can express itself is different and unique through everyone. And so for some people, being a furry might be what they need to express a part of themselves that they can't express otherwise through characters or through role play or through their persona. And for other people, it may be more where it might be like a spiritual thing, like in our case, where we really do feel inside of ourselves that we are beyond our humanity, that I do see myself inside of myself as a collective, as a hive mind, as someone who experiences plurality of consciousness, of jinn, devils, angels, some dragons, at least one satyr, and the different spirits that I work with as well. And I guess I'm making this to kind of like vent something or like express my emotions and things I've been thinking about. But I feel like whether it's acting and play or whether it's seen as like a real more like this is who I am, this isn't something I'm playing, but this is me, it's just another part of me, it doesn't really matter, because I think the more people are willing to let themselves express their creativity, then the more people can expand both inside of themselves and outside of themselves and explore the microcosm and macrocosm of conscious existence. And I think that life as human is unbearably, horrifically painful for a lot of people out there right now, with natural disasters, wars, famines, struggling to afford food. That's me. Struggling to afford better qualities of life, living in poverty, other stuff. That's me. Being disabled, a bunch of different stuff. And I think that creativity and things like being a furry or whatever else it may be is ways of the things that these worlds are suppressing and sort of like locking up inside people. It's ways of like taking a key and putting it in your heart and turning it and then letting what's in there out and letting your innermost truer selves out. And whether you're able to express those pieces through things like play, which is really healthy, or things like in other ways like spirituality or psychology or whatever else it may be, it's all very vitally necessary. And I think it's just really sad that people judge any of these things, or that these things like judge each other and whatever else it may be, because it doesn't really matter. Because I think we're all searching for the same thing, and what we're searching for is a deeper connection and fulfillment to these things that are inside of ourselves that we're not able to express without these other creative means. And to me, my demonology and working with characters and people like Vine, the lion demon king Vine, helps me to be a more full person, to be happier in my own life, to feel more connected to my own strength and power. And I feel like if I were to do furry things, that I would want to make a mask for Vine. Um because I love Vine. But yeah, anyways, I hope that this video finds you well, and that if you are an open-minded and authentic person, that you will receive this well.